Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today I will be unveiling the truth about FL Studio's export settings. So if you guys have seen this before, let's say we have this one-shot loop and we want to one-shot/loop, we want to render it to audio. So normally we would just right-click, consolidate track from track start, and we're having all these settings. In this case, we'll cut remainder and whatever our settings are. Okay, then we'll hit this button that says enable insert effects, meaning that any effects that we had on the sound will be applied to the actual audio. We hit start, and then voila, this big old gap is in the front of our audio. Now this track, let's Control Z this real quick, because this track isn't sent to any specific mixer insert. So let's hit Control L to send it to the mixer insert, just to show you guys there's no effects on this specific mixer channel. So let's do it one more time. Maybe we did something wrong. Let's consolidate from track start, and we're going to trim the PDC, which is the plugin delay compensation silence, that gap that we saw in the beginning of the audio. It says trim, but it's not removing that silence. And enable insert effects, cut remainder like we would any loop, and let's hit start. Let's try this one more time. And we keep seeing this gap in front of the audio. So if you guys have this issue, I figured out why it happens, and I'll show you guys a workaround for those who sound design and make loop packs and stuff. So this can ruin your loops, because here's what happens. Not only is it just a matter of adding silence in the beginning, if you have cut remainder on, it actually cuts the end of the sample. So you're missing information at the end of the sample. Okay, so to prove this, just for people who want like actual proof, we'll demonstrate it with the drum break. So let's find a drum break that has like something at the end here. Okay, so now let's use a drum break, and you see there's this open hi-hat at the end. Okay, let's stretch this to make it like visible. Okay, let's stretch this to the bar. So now it's 2 bars in length. Okay, this time we'll keep the original. So let's do the same exact thing. We're gonna send it to the mixer just to make sure it's not anything on the master. Hit Control L. Okay, now we have it on its own mixer insert. There's no plugins. Let's right click, consolidate from track start, and have the same settings, 512 point sync, 32-bit, etc., etc. Now we're going to cut the remainder, which means cut remainder means any tail, like if I have a reverb or delay that goes over that second bar into the third bar, it will continue to render it to audio. So in this case, we want everything cut off at the 2-bar mark so that it's only 2 bars. And this is why loop makers use this function, is so they can keep the loops perfectly chopped. So let's hit start. And now we see that our drum break has actually shifted to the right. So when you guys are printing multi-tracks and printing your loops, this is happening in your audio. You might not be aware of it, but when they are imported into another DAW, this is a big problem, because they have to trim the silence, but they also have to realize that the end of your audio is missing. So let's play the original here. And let's play the newly printed one with no effects on it. Hear that gap? So not only is it cutting off the end of the open hi-hat, it's adding that gap, which makes it not a perfect loop. So this is ruining, quite literally, all your loops and all your multi-tracks. So I found a workaround, so no worries. But here's the issue. I'm going to dive into the issue first before we get to the workaround. Here's the issue. So when we go to right-click and consolidate audio or MIDI into audio, we're going to right-click, consolidate track from track start. Here's the issue, is the enable insert effects. Okay, so the problem is we probably want our saturation on the sound, or we want whatever the plugin is on the actual sound. So if we turn this off, we're not going to have the effects that we have on our melodies and stuff. So that's kind of defeats the purpose. But this is the reason why it's causing that delay, because certain plugins have different functions inside which make the delay super long. And in short, all the like coding stuff makes it so that the DSP is not maximized. So basically it adds that little gap because it creates a delay. So certain plugins are heavy on processing power, like multi-band compressors are usually heavy on that. Certain limiters, like big multi-effect plugins can also have that weird delay. It's because it's doing too much within one plugin. Okay, quite literally. So here's the workaround though. So let's say we want to add some saturation to this drum break. All right, so let's say we want to add a fruity wave shaper. I'm just going to make a random effect. This is not what I would normally do, so don't copy my settings here. All right, so we're just going to do this, turn the post down. So now it's a little bit crunchier. Okay, so now we want that as our drum break in our drum kit. So now let's right click, consolidate from track start. Actually, let's not do that. Let's go. We need to send this sound to the mixer. Let's double click, hit Control L to send it to the mixer. So now I'm showing you guys the workaround. We're going to make sure it's the last effect, and we need to pull up Edison. And I'll show you guys another workaround if you have all 10 slots taken up. Let's open up Edison, and we want to switch this mode to on play. So now we're going to record on play. So we just have to hit stop twice. And now we're going to hit play on the master. And then this will start recording into Edison all of the effects before Edison. Okay, so if you guys need all 10 slots for whatever reason, I'll show you another workaround in a second. But firstly, we're going to hit play. And you'll notice it adds these song jump markers. That's creating a loop for you, so you don't have to create your own loop. We're going to turn off recording. And all we have to do here is just double click where it says song jump and click where it says send to playlist as an audio clip. And now we have the process signal. I believe it's this one here. So now this is its own audio file. We can double click in here, right click and save as, or we could edit in an audio editor and then save it this way if you guys want to do further manipulation. So that's the workaround for saving you guys' melodies without that annoying gap in the beginning. But here is what happens normally if we were to render that with the same effects. Okay, so let's right click, consolidate track. We're going to turn on the effects this time, cut remainder. All right, and as we can see, our version through Edison is on time. The version that we rendered through the playlist is not on time. There's this weird delay. So that is ruining your loops and your one shots and all your stuff from FL Studio, even rendering it to WAV. Now, if you guys render to MP3, it automatically adds a silence in the beginning of an MP3, just based on what MP3s are. So anytime you render to MP3, you also will see a gap in the beginning of the audio. That's just because MP3, but even rendering to WAV creates that gap from the new FL Studio 24. Current version or whatever. It says a newer version is available, but the version I'm on, it does that. So that's the workaround. Let me see if there's anything else to show you guys before wrapping up. Let me think here. I think I showed you guys everything. Oh, I got to show you guys, if you want to record, let's say you have a bunch of effects that eat up all 10 of these effects. We're going to get rid of Edison here. You're going to find your drum and you're going to send it as an audio to a different channel. We need to unsend it to the master. So we're going to click this up arrow to take it away from the master. So now we don't hear any signal. Now we're going to send this drum to a different channel, just clicking this up arrow. So now all of these effects will work on this sound plus this entire effect chain if we want more effects. So now we have 20 potential effects we can add. Now that's an insane amount of effects, but you never know. So here we can add Edison at the bottom just to make sure that we're recording after all of the effects. Because the way recording works or mixing works, it works from top to bottom. Let's switch this to on play, hit record, and same thing. So anytime I was recording audio, like going out of my DAW back in, I would have to record it into Edison. Edison is the way we record audio into FL. So we're going to double click here, and well, I shouldn't say all audio. Let me rephrase that. We're going to click here to send audio to playlist, and now we have the audio processed without that delay. Okay, so now we can click here and make unique as a sample, or we could just double click, right click, save as, or we can right click, edit an audio editor, do stuff to it, and then save it that way. So that is how you beat the system here. So I know it's frustrating, but hopefully you guys share this with a friend to make them less frustrated. If you're new here, subscribe. It's Game from BusyWorksBeats.com. Peace out, guys.